what you spend versus what you plan. The budget is what you plan, and then in reality, your expense summary would be, okay, did I actually stick to it? Or am I kind of freewheeling it here and hoping for the best? So, simply stated, how do you know if your monthly expenses are within budget? Well, is planned less than or equal to the amount you've spent. Okay? If you gave yourself $3,500 to work with this month, did you stay less than that or equal to, or did you spend $5,000? That's what we're trying to keep an eye on with these types of things. And so, again, here'd be what you would do at the start of your month. You would estimate how much you were spending in all of these areas. And then you would go to what actually happened in the right-hand column and hope, fingers crossed, that the right-hand column is going to be less than the left. So, a couple of things to keep an eye on. I'm not actually going to answer the first question first, because the real question here is the amount budgeted going to be less than the amount spent? So we're going to go on an adding spree here. This is where spreadsheets are such wonderful things. Because back before we got into all this fancy schmancy computer stuff, you'd have to do all this by hand. And that, ugh. Balancing things, looking through every check, not being able to see it online. Even me here, trying to make sure I'm not forgetting any numbers. I feel pretty good about that. I think that's right. So going in, man, that's some specifics right there. I was guessing I was going to spend just over $2,500. So we'll see how this works out. Now let's see. Oh, the moment of truth is coming upon us. Some of you are ahead of me. Let me experience the suspense here. You're like, good gosh, man. People actually, oops, now see, I almost messed that up. People actually do this? I'm like, yes. But as I was saying before, oh, no, that's right. Having a spreadsheet set up with this, so much better. Ooh. Now, unless I completely missed something, which would be kind of funny if I did, but it's looking like we did a good job. We spent less than we budgeted for. Now, is it still good, even in a situation like that, after you pat yourself on the back, you came in $100 under, good job, to look at some of these other issues, like, hey, where did we spend more than we budgeted? So you kind of look, and you're like, let's see here. We spent more on food. We spent more on the phone. We spent more for cable. Mercy. And we still ended up under. This is kind of surprising. Oh, maintenance. Stuff breaks. I'm starting to look at this and I'm wondering if I missed a number somewhere, because it just seems like, how are we let? Well, I'm going to keep going here. We're going to see. So when we're looking at some of your expenses and things like that, we've got several, so I'm just going to call this my pink circle here. If you want to put little stars next to them or something instead of writing some of that down, that's okay too. But this is how long-term you start to figure out ways when you're under of staying under. You know, okay, food, I was pretty close. Okay, I was spending a little more on gas. This just comes up sometimes now and then. You know, you got to get an oil changed. You get a flat tire, you've got to get fixed, something like that. This is probably one I could see where I might be able to do something less if I needed to. So, yeah, not terrible. Entertainment, did I stay under budget? Nah, I don't think I did. I think I'm a little over here. So that's 205.30, and that's 200. I mean, did I stay within budget? No. But to be honest, I spent $5 more. It's not like I spent $100 more. So I'm not really too concerned as far as that goes. And then I know I missed a number. Okay, I got to do this. That's what I'd had written on my thing initially, which tells me for sure I missed a number. I don't know which one, but we're going to update this. Because before I was giving myself a pat on the back, and the reason I was giving myself a pat on the back is because I didn't know how to use a calculator. So, okay. So we were a little over. So, no, we were about $40 to $43 over. In the big picture of things, is that going to destroy you? No. If it was 400, yeah, that'd be a problem. I always tell people, if you're within about 5% of your budget, that's really good, actually, because it means you've got a pretty good idea of what you're going through. But you do want to keep track of this. Even if you have money in your bank account at the end of the month, there's always ways that you could have a little more in there when you're trying to work through. So here's where we're going to start splitting some things up again. So I will try to help take note here. So this is one of the places that we're going to be in practice mode. It basically is going to run you through some of the similar things we did on the front, where you're going to see, you know, budgeted versus spent. How did you do? Are there certain areas where you had more trickiness, where you didn't really think of something? Like, I'll mention this while we're here. Sometimes you'll budget something and you don't even really think about it until you look at the end of the month when you spend it. For instance, parking and tolls. Maybe you don't do a whole lot of things with your job or career or something that has to do with you having to use the toll road or paying to park if you're in a large area, but then you have it happen a time or two and you're like, oh, well, maybe I got to think of that ahead of time a little bit and start to take that into consideration. Because most of the time, if you know what's coming, you're going to be pretty close once you know where you're at. So just something to ponder when you play with those. Okay, I got one more piece to play with here. So, again, a lot of this is stuff we've talked about already, so I'm going to kind of just talk it back through one more time before we get down to business. You've got to know how much money's coming in, okay? Income, that could be your job. That could be if you own a property or something, or you own an investment that pays interest. That can be coming in. It doesn't just have to be a job every time. But this is the one that people who have money are going to understand better. Write down everything you spend your money on. Miscellaneous snacks that you have during the week. Your nails. How much money, I'll say it because I know people do it, say, what you spend on vaping a week in a month and stuff like that. It's a thing, okay? So if you spend money, you need to categorize it somehow. And if you can do it for every single dollar you spend, you're not going to have to do it forever. Like, I tell people when I'm talking and getting them going on a budget like this, If you go 3 months and write down every dollar that you spend, after 3 months, you're going to know it. Your budget's going to be set. You're not going to have to figure out, to the penny on everything anymore, especially with some of the apps and things that are out there anymore. The other part of that, and we've talked about this, your fixed expenses are ones you know are going to be the same. Those are the easy ones to play with. Your variable expenses, that's the one that can cause people problems. Go way over the top on food for a month. You're stressed, you eat out a lot more. Entertainment. Friends keep calling you up, want you to go places and do things. You're like, sure, this is fun. And you're not really kind of thinking about it. So always watch for these, and when you put an amount on them, try your darndest to stay to that amount, even if it means passing on some certain things. So again, subtract expenses from income. That would be our surplus. That's what we're trying to have. This is the part that when we have it, we would like to either invest or get into an emergency fund. You're like, okay, what is that? That's a fund for emergencies. So you want to have these so if you have that flat tire or you have an ER visit or something, you're not putting that on a credit card or something like that. I always suggest with dealing with the Dave Ramsey stuff that I do, that you try to have at least 3 months of your income in an emergency fund. It can take some time, but you can do that. You can do that with your cash surplus. And that way, when you get found and something bad happens, you pay the cash, you're done with it, and you're not having one more thing on your mind to stress you out or worry you about. So always, always, always try to find some ways to get some of that money off to the side. So a little bit deeper, even though, again, we've kind of talked about these on a topical level, but that's been about it. If you set goals, it's going to make things easier for you. If you have a goal of saving up for a car or a phone or something like that, it makes you more determined to get there. It's just been a known thing, especially if you write them down. If you write out your terms, hey, short, for some of you, 5 years seems like an eternity. For some of you, short term might be more like a year, and long term is like 5 years from now. Are you going to be in college? Are you going to have a job? Are you wanting to have moved out by then? What's that going to look like? Because again, the more you see them, the more likely you are to head towards them. And then here again is the emergency fund. Unexpected bills, things like that. Don't put it somewhere where you can get to it easy, though. The funny story I like to say is this. Don't keep your emergency fund like in your sock drawer, because then when the delivery man comes to the door, all of a sudden the emergency fund becomes your pizza fund, because that's where you find money right away. Put it in an account somewhere. Give it to someone who is trusted to put it somewhere for you where you can't get it. Okay? I mean, now at home maybe you have a parent or something, be like, hey, in case we're into a problem, keep this to the side. Trust definitely to be able to do that. And then the other part would be making sure, and again, here comes those flexible expenses that come in. Look out for discretionary spending and impulse buying. Discretionary spending, let's see examples. Starbucks would be a discretionary spending example. Fast food, impulse buying, I'm going to go buy that new game immediately. Got to have that new dress, that new shirt, whatever it happens to be. So it's back to the wants versus needs thing again. And so if you can get a budget and get those type of things under control, I'm telling you, you can be the small percentage of people that aren't living paycheck to paycheck. Or even worse, giving away your entire paycheck to other people because you have no money of your own. It's tricky, but it's doable. So, last couple of things to discuss, and then I'm out of your hair. Fixed versus variable expenses. Again, we're just kind of listing them off as we do some of these, because we're trying to get used to, okay, what do I need to do versus what changes a little bit. So every month the same, basically, versus, well, one month it might be high, one month it may be low. And people ask me, well, how do you do that? How do you budget for something that varies? If you look at it for 2 or 3 months, let's say eating out, which is a variable expense, and you watch your eating out for 3 months, and those are your 3 months, and you add them up. I always tell people the simplest way to go, unless you know something's coming, add them up and divide by 3. So I would put, like, let's round. I'd put $125 in my budget for eating out, if that's what I normally about would do. You might look and say, well, now that I see that, I don't want to spend $125, I want to spend $75, and you adjust it. But most of these you could very easily put into one category or another when you're thinking about it. And these are often the ones that you can control or reduce much better. So if you need to find a place to cut, typically this is going to be the place that you can cut. Fixed expenses, your house, for the most part, semi-utilities and things, yes, but the other ones, we got to be cautious of because they can cause issues. So, the last piece that we're going to do today, that I'm going to have you actually try to do here, this is what I liked about this one and why I chose to do it. A student budget example. We're always talking about adults that are moved out with mortgages and stuff like that. Here we've got a high school student. It's never too early to start doing this once you're earning some regular income. So she's working part-time at a retail clothing store to earn some money, living at home, which makes sense. She has an older car, lots of repair bills. She's got to pay for her car's gas, and then part, I would assume at this point, for the car insurance. So after she graduates, she wants to get an apartment with a friend. She wants to purchase a used car in 6 months, and she wants to take a trip with her friends this summer. That's a lot of stuff for having a part-time budget. And so you look, and you're like, okay, I work part-time, I get some babysitting, I make about $700 a month. Again, this doesn't have to be fancy. So, like, compare this to the ones we've been looking at where there's like 20 line items. This one's got 7. Okay? Car repairs, entertainment, gas for the car, car insurance, and then how much money do I have in my savings in the bank? And so you start to look, and you can look to see what her goals are up at the top, and you're like, okay, let's see. So her income, so let's see here. Let's figure this out for her. So right now, she's got $195 extra a month. So here's the thing. Because it's high school senior. Okay, now let's do reality check here. And this is the hard part about life. She wants to get an apartment after graduation. She's a senior. She wants to purchase a car in 6 months. She wants to take a trip with her friends. Not going to happen. At least not all 3. So if we look at this and we're like, okay, so this is October. So if she saves her money, let's just get to graduation. Let's go that route. So October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, we'll even give her June. Okay. So 8 months to graduation. Now it's time to have the talk. So we're like 8 months at $195 plus the $225 she already has. Oh boy. So as Mason so eloquently said a moment ago, yeah, this ain't happening. Not all 3. maybe one, okay? So, if you were going to try to give some advice so she can maybe get to one of her goals faster, what's probably going to be the best route to go? What's a quick thing that would save her some money even just next month? Sure.
Less money spent on entertainment and eating out.
Yeah, that number is going to have to change. Like, maybe to $45. Because then there's another $100 a month that she could spend on doing some other things. This would make me a little bit nervous too, because it says up above, the car frequent repair bills, if you keep throwing hundreds of dollars every month into your car and it's broken, that's not good. So maybe the goal right now has got to be to get a better car, because that's going to let you start saving some money there once you get it. It ain't going to be no great car, because even if we get the extra 100, we got like $2,500. Public transportation, I don't know. Rides with friends, maybe, if you work at the same place that they do. Because, I mean, look at this. $275, $65, $25. Good that you're doing jobs, but maybe you need to find a different way to get there. Carpool with people. I mean, you've got carpool to work, less entertainment. But yeah, I would say the dream of the summer trip and moving out right away are about not real good. The only other thing you could say is, once she's graduated, she could work full-time, and if that, like, doubles, maybe, but we need to get into the good saving habits now. And those are the types of things you've got to be able to take honest looks at with when you're dealing with money. Because money just doesn't always come from some other place when you don't have it. My son has to learn that lesson on a regular basis, because he wants to spend triple of what he has. And so that gets hard. So what we're going to do one more of these. This is going to be the last piece of practice, and then we're going to kind of roll the rest of it forward. So what we're going to do, we got Terrence here. He's 24. He's going to college part-time and working full-time. Not a bad plan. He's working in an office as a salesman. His net income is a little over $3,000. He's saved a little bit of money, no other investments. He lives in an apartment with 2 roommates. Again, good idea. Drives to work daily and enjoys going out with friends on weekends. He wants to repay his college loans once he graduates. The sooner the better, so we're not paying interest there. And save money for his own apartment or house. He wants to know his monthly cash surplus. What will the surplus be if he begins putting $200 a month into his savings? So, here's all Terrence's expenses. And you're like, well, wait. Why are you counting savings as an expense? Because it's not money he can use right now. So if it's not money available to me right now, I'm putting it under expenses, even though I do have it available. Just something to keep in mind. So when we're preparing the budget, which is what you're going to want to take a peek at here, you've got some of the values here. We've got, it helped if I was on the screen. We have an income. I'm going to flip back and forth here. Now, I don't think it mentioned Terrence doing anything else besides his full-time job. No, it did not. And then fixed expenses, again, he may not have every single one of these as you're going down the list. The only other part that I'll mention, and then I'm going to kind of let you jump in with this. So, fixed expenses will have variable. They mentioned that he wanted to save $200 a month for savings and had no other investments. So when you're looking to see hey, is he sticking to budget or is he going to be under? Again, income minus expenses minus savings will get you your surplus, and then you can see how much surplus you're going to have at the end to make a decision on, can I afford to move out? Can I afford, do I need to be paying stuff back? How do I want to do this? And just as a reminder, monthly to yearly just means you're taking the monthly number and multiplying it by 12. So you can take a big picture outlook besides just the little tiny one that you're looking at with these. So 19 and 20 here, making this budget and then being able to answer a couple of the questions they've got there. That's where we're going to cut off. So if some of you are like speed demons and you're looking for something to do later, we are going to be doing the other budgets after this to kind of get some different looks. But the only one you need to do for now is this one on 20 using number 19. Everything else